I want to have a paid off hotel in the family. I want to buy a whole bunch of land. Like land is it. Buy as much land as I possibly can and keep that. And not only but teach my son how to keep it. Like I've realized that wasn't really taught that much to me about retaining the wealth. Like, okay, Davonne, this is this, and this is how you can make it grow and keep it in the family. So my goal is like, okay, Jameer, this is yours. This is your last name. This is what you need to be working for. So that way he understands it so he can build it. And what I work for, he won't lose it. Like, I don't want to be doing all this work and then you lose it.
Facts.
That's a whole fact.
Yeah.
That's a whole fact. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show. Y'all, we have, as y'all can see, we've been on a good little run here, tapping in. We got some exciting stuff on the way. I don't know if we're going to spill the candy on this episode, but just know, stay tapped in because Melanin Money got some exciting stuff on the way. And why not have an exciting guest, right, as we are on our journey to elevating the excitement of the show. And today we have a wonderful guest by the name of Davonne Reaves. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
Feeling good?
Feeling like good? Equity, like your shirt. That's what I'm feeling.
Feeling like equity. Let's get it.
I'm feeling
We of course, we got Cartier Carter and Jackpot Jacqueline as well. How y'all feeling?
Amazing.
Feeling amazing, man. Feels good to be back doing another show, and this is going to be a great one because I did my research. I'm like, you owning a hotel, wait a second.
We got to get into it.
Real estate is one thing, but a hotel, slow down.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Your little short-term rental is cute and all, but, we own the whole building, you know what I mean? So let's get, I feel like it's going to be like a battle of like real estate because we've had Kamoy on here. He does the short term. We had what's my guy?
Don't name drop.
Brian.
We had Brian here with the
event spaces.
Okay. Right. Who else have we had on real estate front? I don't know. But anyways, so excited to talk about hotels. This is major stuff. So Jacqueline always likes to start the podcast off by us getting your backstory, right? Because we don't go from 0 to 100 overnight. That's what social media likes us to believe. Right. But tell us, kind of give us a little bit of the backstory on how you got from where you are now, or just kind of how you started to now owning, hotels. Right, that's pretty major, right? So give us a little background.
See, Jacqueline, she's the only woman on here, so she within the group I see, so she holding down the fort. So that's why,
yeah, for sure.
I already see who the brains behind it. You don't have to.
Here we go. Here we go.
I already know.
Not gas her up.
I already know. I just gotta give. I gotta give my girl her props.
You see the little women. Okay, look, we gonna let y'all live. You know what I'm saying? We gonna let y'all do y'all thing.
But I actually got my start off as a front desk agent at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta in downtown Atlanta. While I was in school. So I worked full time, went to school full time. I will never do that again. So if I had to go back to my younger self, it would be to work part time and go to school full time. That would I would have done. And so I worked at the Hyatt for about 6.5 years, even after I graduated. And I wanted to become a general manager. At the time, I thought that was the highest thing you could do. I didn't know you could own a hotel because a Hyatt owned it. So I just never thought you could own it. I thought the Hyatt owned all the Hyatts, the Marriott on the Marriotts, and so forth. And so I joined this organization called the American Hotel Lodging Association, Under 30 Gateway. It was an organization for hotel professionals under 30. And this was after I graduated. And some of the members of this organization, they already own hotels. And I'm like, wait, what? You own hotels? Like
under 30?
Under 30.
Wow.
And they were developing hotels, like CEOs of company. I'm like, and I thought I was doing something. No. Well, they inherited hotels.
Gotcha.
Yikes.
I said, oh, so you on a different level. I thought I was doing something about leaving me a house. But y'all folks leaving y'all hotels,
hotels.
What I mean? That's the whole. So I was like, oh, so I got real humble. But they didn't, nobody looked like me, right? So it was, people from Indian descent. I think one of my friends, Hispanic. So it was just a different world. And I said, so I learned about the transactional side of hotels, basically where the money was being made, right? And I said, okay, I want to get to this side. I want to get to where the money is, right? We said that shirt, the equity. I said, okay, let me get to that side, right? And so I couldn't get into the transactional side because I didn't have any experience. All my experience was in operations. And so I had to take a non-paid internship in order to get in, because I was so hungry. I was like, okay, I want to become a hotel owner. You know, it wasn't YouTube out like it is now. Google out wasn't like it, podcast, you know, it wasn't a thing. And so, so I was like, okay, well, what can I do? It wasn't like a roadmap or a blueprint or, take an online course real quick and figure it out. So I had to, so I took this non-paid internship because I figured what's the best way of getting a hotel ownership is to work for hotel owners, right?
Fair enough.
Go figure.
Right. So I would try to get jobs, but nobody would take me because I didn't have like real estate or finance or economics. So that's why I took the non-paid internship. I was there for like 3 months. I worked there in the morning, worked at the Hyatt at night so I could pay my bills because I was out of college. So you know how that worked. Like once you out, like you got to pay your own stuff, right? So so I did that for about 3 months. My non-paid internship, they kept me on. It was a consulting firm. So that's where I learned about commercial real estate. That's where I learned about building capital stacks, learning the difference between debt and equity. So I was just fascinated about it, pro formas, financials, all that fun stuff. And so I wanted to stay there full time. So I did. So I was there for about 2 years and I moved to Boston. I worked for a larger firm. So at that time I was managing, my portfolio was probably about $1 billion in hotels that I was overseeing or helping to oversee. And I was like, oh, wow, this is great. Boston was cold. It wasn't a lot of people who looked like me at my firm. Matter of fact, I was the only Black person at my firm that I think about it. It was a great company, but I need just a little bit more melanin, just a little bit
more melanin. Shout out to the Melanin Money Show.
Too much.
I mean, Boston was cool, but where I lived, it was not a lot. Yeah, where I lived,
there was a lot of cauliflower in there. Okay.
There you go. There you go. And so, and then I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I just never like had it in me. Like I was always, because I was raised, my dad, he retired as a fireman. My grandma retired as a nurse. So it was like you work, retire, you work.
You had it in you though. It was there.
But I ain't had nobody to pull it out,
Yeah. Exactly.
People are like, work for the pension and you retire. And I was just like, dang, I mean, I'm seeing people a lot older than me. And that's what the path that they were going. And I was like, they look exhausted. Like they not, you know what I mean? Because working in a hotel, you get a lot of benefits. But if you're constantly working, how can you enjoy the benefits? You know what I mean? Like free rooms, staying at 5-7-star hotels for like, I want to tell you how much we saved for, but it wasn't what y'all paid. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Well, mental note, we need that plug now. Don't.
That's why I don't like saying that because I'll be getting that question.
It's just like pulling out gum around Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, you done pulled it out now. You know what I'm saying?
So in 2017, I formed my own company. It's called the Vonne Group, and it's a consulting firm. And so I wanted to get more people who looked like me into the hotel ownership side. I was fortunate enough to navigate my way through the transactional side of hotels where wasn't a lot of people who looked like us. And I wanted to see more people, so I were meeting, people who owned land or people who, had the capital to actually develop a hotel, but they didn't know how to navigate it. So I was able to help them with my contacts and relationships. I was able to help them. So I created a consulting firm. In 2019, me and Jessica I went to school with, we formed Epic Collective, and then we partnered with Mike Ely, and that's on Investments in 2020. And that's when we acquired the 85-room Home 2 Suites in El Reno, Oklahoma. So that was the first hotel deal I did on my own, not working with in corporate. Yeah.
Little clapping noise. George got this.
No. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm getting it all wrong today. There we go.
We didn't hear it. We didn't hear
it. Why does it do that? We're gonna figure it out. Yeah, we need to get our sound effects.
We'll get the soundboard down. But so
it sounded like this though.
Oh well, thank you.
That's why we need an in-house audio engineer. You know what I'm saying? I know my zone of genius. Right. That's why we edit. That's why we send out our podcast to be edited. But anyways, that was a great backstory. I mean, it's not every day that we get, whole hotel owners,
I
Yeah. So let's speak about that. So you started your own business, right? Wasn't a lot of representation. I think that's the story for a lot of us, right? It's like you don't.
Wherever
I
there's
tell people all the time, like if a George existed, right? When I was starting my business, I might not have started a business, right? If there was someone I could have who had a similar vision, or like, I might have, might have, right? But it didn't exist. So alas, here we are. Right. So you started your own business.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about like what that looks like. Like, how are you now helping other people that look like us get into the space of hotel ownership? And what does that process look like? Because I don't know about y'all, but y'all want to own some hotels or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would be a capital partner in one for sure.
That's what I mean. For sure.
I ain't working behind the desk, but I'll be on, so.
Hey.
The key word was own the hotel, right? We didn't say work at the hotel. Right?
He's just trying to get paid in equity, that's all.
He knows the drill. You know what I'm saying? Equity is his favorite shirt in small, by the way, for whatever reason.
Wow.
We do need the small.
He works out. He really wants y'all to know, so.
So Davonne, please let us know, how can we get in the game?
So I have a book called How to Buy a Hotel. That's a book that kind of walks you through the
straightforward
of And that's crazy. Nobody wrote the title. I thought that was like real crazy, but anyway, real simple.
Oh, no one claimed that title. That's crazy.
I bought the domain name and everything. I was like, really?
That's the
why
I had when I bought the Melanin Money Done. I was like, nobody has this. What? Let's run the play.
But I think that speaks to your point of like how much we have been passed over, literally, when it comes to this kind of wealth building. So the book, How to Own a Hotel, what's the goodies inside? Come on, spill the beans.
So I walk you through, and this is just like, a lot of people don't realize that hotels is actually real estate. And so real estate is an investment. So anytime, and y'all notice, anytime you make an investment, you have some type of criteria, right? And so that's what I walk you through, how to create your criteria, because hotels or any type of real, it could be overwhelming. And hotels can be really overwhelming because there's so many different types of hotels. You got limited service, select service, luxury, the different brands. There's like over 100 different brands. So I walk you through to kind of help you, okay, let me develop a compass, right? Walk you through as far as how to analyze a deal, walk you through the mistakes that you should avoid when going through a deal. And also in my book, I have what you call a speaker series with different experts. So I have people who, for some of my investors who their first time investing in a hotel was with me. So they walk you through their process and how they got into it. My business partner, Mike Ely, he's a whiz when it comes to analyzing deals. He walks you through how to analyze a hotel deal in like 20 minutes or less. And this is all visual. So this is something that after you read it or during you read it, it's a speaker series. My good friend, Shannon Steele, she's another Black female hotel owner. She walks folks through how she got into her first deal. So those are just some of the things that you can look at in the book.
You know what they say, man, like all the information you need is right there in the book. And now it's even easier. That's what they used to say like 10, 15 years ago. Now it's literally on your Instagram feed. If you're willing to consume the content or, in an ebook or something else. So man, I just think it's just so amazing that literally anything that you want to learn, accomplish, achieve, you're just literally one piece of information away.
I think it's even more amazing that a melanated woman has written this book.
Oh, that's a fact.
So
that's a whole fact.
So how much money? Let's go with like some general questions for those listening who are new to this concept entirely. So we're talking about outright purchasing real estate in the form of a hotel. So you said first kind of pick your strategy, right? So I'm thinking like Motel 6 versus like 4 Seasons. Is that what you mean by like pick your strategy or pick your level?
What's going on, guys? I'm George.
I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Carter.
And we are your money mentors. But today we wanted to talk to you about a really special feature, Financial Flicks. Can you imagine an entire on-demand library of financial content across 3 main categories: wealth building, entrepreneurship, and personal finance, so that you can take your finances to the next level?
Guys, when you replace entertainment with education, your life will change forever. Imagine replacing 1 hour of Netflix with 1 hour of Financial Flicks. Imagine how much further that could take you to your financial destination. And we have the perfect library for you.
Yeah, so if you're ready to Financial Flicks and chill with us to put more of your energy into education, then join us in the club. We can't wait to see you there.
See you there.
Yeah, for some reason, our community, I'm saying this from the people I met, they want to buy something that they like to stay at. which is great. Those are just really expensive.
Yeah.
To your point, to a Four Seasons, like who doesn't want to say the Four Seasons, right? But Four Seasons are expensive. A Motel 6 is maybe something I would start off with at first, right? Maybe a choice property. They have a diversity program for minorities, where they want to increase the percentage of African-American hotel owners. Wyndham just opened they just started a new initiative to increase the percentage of Black hotel owners called Bold. So I would start off with those brands. So really what I talk a lot about is going from a consumer mindset to an owner mindset, right?
Period.
Exactly, right? And so starting from that consumer, getting something like an economy. Economy is like a Super 8 or a Motel 6. That's what you call the economy brand. It doesn't have like a restaurant in it. And those hotels actually performed well during COVID. So a lot of times people are like, oh, what I look like, buying a Motel 6. I'm not going to say that. That's why you're not going to say it. You're going to own it. So it's different. And somebody else is going to stay there. Right? You know what I mean? And the reason why that those hotels performed well during COVID, because you got truck drivers, you got people. I mean, truck drivers were crazy busy during COVID. Even though people weren't traveling as much, but those truck drivers still had to travel, and they needed someplace to stay. So you have your Motel 6s, your Super 8s, your Econo Lodge, all those different the Quality Inns. That's how a lot of people, particularly from the Indian community, they own over 60% of the hotels in the United States because of the model that I just explained to you all. They started off with the economy. They built their portfolio. So they started off with one hotel, house hack, just like you can house hack a house, you can house hack a hotel, right? They started off with with one hotel, get their family, everybody working, do whatever they got to do. They grow, and 1, 2, 3. Now you can get to your Ritz-Carltons. Now you can get to your full service hotels because you're building your portfolio and you're leveraging, right? And you're building. Right. The name of this game, what I'm talking about, is cash flow. The Motel 6's Quality Inn, they're more of a cash flow because it's not as many expenses. The labor model is a lot. It's not, and that's easier. And another model to look at is extended stay. These are the people that's coming from the multifamily world. Extended stay, that's the ones with the kitchenettes and that I have 2 of those in my portfolio. So those are the type of hotels that I would, from a strategic standpoint, for the people who are trying to get in from the ground floor to get their feet wet, I would look at economy, select service, extended stay.
Okay. So hold on one second before we skip from that. As I'm building the strategy, right, and I'm coming up with what I want this to look like, let's say I'm starting from the very, very bottom. So I need that, what you said, Motel 6 economy. What does the money that I need to be saving or building, or what does that look like behind the scenes before I can even purchase the hotel?
If you can get access, and notice I said the word access, a lot of times people think, oh, I have to have it in my pocket. I think, you mentioned it before, Carter, about capital partners, right? I've yet to see a deal where it's just one person. I think I saw one hotel deal and it was a doctor. And now she's even looking for capital partners because she wouldn't do it anymore by herself. So it's always multiple people. So I would say if you can pull together about $1 million, I think that'd be good. And the reason why, because let's say if you find a hotel that's $5 million, and you probably can get about 20%. That's about $1 million. There are some hotels that are $2 million. There are some hotels that are $3 million. So it just depends where you are location wise. And it depends on the type of hotel. So I would look, when you're looking for deals, anything less than 5 million, that'll be great. Because you can get, SBA loans or working with your community bank. It makes it a little bit more attainable for you to actually buy it.
Right. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And so I guess when the average person, hears like buying a hotel, like, right, they're probably thinking, yeah, I got to either get access to or have, millions of dollars to acquire it. I guess my question is, how many, are there real estate crowd funds where people are putting together funds in order to be able to purchase these properties, for your smaller people that, that want to get in on these deals?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I just happened to create crowdfunding. But it's so funny that you mentioned that. It is called Vester. Yes, VESTERR.com.
There you go.
It is a crowdfunding platform. We actually the first hotel crowdfunding platform.
I saw an Instagram video on that. It was dope.
Thank you. So not only do we you can raise capital for hotels, but multifamily, daycare, senior living, anything that's commercial real estate. So for instance, so let's say, Jacqueline, she decides that she wants to develop a hotel and she's going to call it the Jackie. It's going to be fabulous. She's going to
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's called the Jackie, right? And so we probably going, she probably going to need about 3 to 5 million. What Carter like, what, that sounds cute, but I'm about to be a capital partner. I'm just going to invest. Okay, cool. George, you like, what? I like that idea too. I'm gonna let you put the whole deal together and I'm just gonna be another capital partner. I'm gonna invest. So that's essentially what crowdfunding is. It's people pulling their funds together to invest. And so essentially, and I created a platform because I saw that there was a need. I kept meeting people who needed access to capital, but they didn't know where to go. They didn't know how to find investors. And then I would meet investors who wanted to invest, but they didn't know where to go. So that's why I created Investor.
Bridge the gap. I tell people, man, the entire economy is based upon the middleman, right? It's like there's a builder, there's a buyer, and there's a broker, right? Someone has to be in between connecting the dots for both people, right? And there's a place for all of us. And I love that. I mean, what I see in the future is that, the Melanin Millionaires Club, pulls their money together and then we go, build out a hotel. So, that's what I see, in the near future.
And now we know where to go when we pull the money together. And
exactly.
I love what you said about the whole, you don't have to live in the hotel that you're going to buy. Nobody asked you to go visit and stay there, right? And when I started my real estate journey, that's one of the things my real estate agent taught me was like, because I'm used to living downtown, Portishead Windows. When I was buying my first property, I'm like, let's go somewhere downtown. She's like, no, you don't have to do that. You're not going to live there. Just focus on buying something that has good cash flow, and then and then work your way up, and then continue to buy the block. So I love that thinking, because people think Super 8 is like, it's not classy enough, but nobody asked you to stay there if the cash flow is all you care about. So I guess with that said, my question is, what is like the biggest difference you think between owning real estate and owning a hotel? Because some real estate owners like, I own a four flat, a triplex. Let me get into this hotel game. What are some things they need to consider when trying to move from being a real estate owner to a hotel owner?
So for the folks who in residential, or for the folks who are trying to get into the hotel space, so for my folks who are in multifamily, getting into hotels, it's an operating business sitting on real estate. So it actually, for my folks who are in short-term rentals, it's actually probably easier for you all to transition into hotels, because that's what you're doing anyway, right? So that's the biggest thing, is just really understanding the business aspect of it. And if you don't, then that's where you bring in consultants. That's where the brands, they have different programs to help you, to support you, to understand, the finance, the revenue management strategies. So that's probably the biggest thing, because hotels is real estate. So once you understand the fundamentals of real estate, and once you understand the fundamentals of commercial real estate, it's easier to navigate that process. You just need to understand the business part of it.
Got it. And for people that want to get into it, right? So like, do you typically recommend that, hey, like there's this Wyndham property or there's a program and you go out and buy one of their properties that are for sale? Or do you see people that literally go in, do a complete overhaul, rebrand it as something that they're passionate about, the Jackie? Like what do you recommend? Because I almost feel like from a franchising standpoint, or using that concept, like if someone's already more familiar with like the Wyndham brand, right, it might make sense to just go in and maybe do the renovations, but still keep it branded to that, right? Because people are going to know that. But do you feel like that's an issue now? Because I feel like now with platforms like Airbnb and all those other platforms, if someone can get a chance to see it and it looks like where they would want to go, that you would be okay rebranding it. But I'm kind of curious on your perspective there.
Well, it depends on your strategy, and it also depends on the market, right? So I have 3 hotels. I have one in Indianapolis Fishers, one in Scottsburg, Indiana, and one in El Reno. El Reno and Scottsburg, there's not any Airbnbs. I don't think there's an Uber in those places. Like I have to, like, it's always a hassle trying to figure out how I'm gonna get to the airport. Like either somebody from the hotel has to take me, they got to arrange. It's always the issue, right? So those towns, the Jackie Hotel may not be the best fit. That's they not going to Scottsburg, Indiana, or El Reno. That's not what they're doing. They may say at that window, but not Jackie, right? Now, if we're talking about a place like New York City or Miami or, you know, Seattle or even Atlanta starting to dabble more into like the independent boutique space, then that's when you can do something like a Jackie, like or now, and also a lot of people don't realize that brands, they have what you call soft brands, right? So what a soft brand is like a marriage of the independent hotel and the brand. So let's say, I'm just gonna keep using Jackie, right? So let's say Jackie decides to develop the Jackie Hotel, okay? And she's like, oh, you know, I wanna make it independent. Well, independent hotels are very expensive to operate because of the marketing, and you don't have the reservation system, and you're competing with brands like Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, people that have been around longer than we've been alive, right? So she's like, you know what, this is too much. It doesn't make any sense. Let me just go ahead and slap, you know, the Hilton on my hotel. And it's going to be the Curio. It's still going to be the Jackie, but now it's going to be the Jackie by Hilton Curio. So now you're tapping into Hilton reservation system. Hilton is number 2 in the world. So now, and not even that, she's adding more guests to her hotel because people, where they want to stay where they know, right? Hilton. And not even that, she can increase her rate a little bit more.
Because of the brand association.
Exactly. And so those fees went up. So now you do need to charge more.
Right. So that's going to lead to my next question. So number one, I'm assuming there's some level of criteria required. Like the Hilton's not going to just be like, oh, you got a cute little brand, we'll slap our joint on there. Like, I'm assuming there's like a whole criteria.
Yeah, it's a criteria. Yeah.
Process for that. And then what are the fees? Like a licensing fee? Like what, like, can you kind of go into that at least a little bit so people can understand?
So every brand is different, but they're franchises, right? So you have to go through what is a franchise disclosure document, FDD. That discloses all the different fees. Choice and window, and it also depends on the type of brand that you're getting. If you're getting more into like the full service or luxury, those fees are a lot higher. But like Choice and Wyndham, like more of the economy and limited service, you still have fees, but they're maybe not as high. You have application fees that you have to pay, you know, marketing fees to be a part of their association. So you can look up, it could be like to 10 to 15%, with the different fees that you may, you know, that you may have to pay. And that's just a range on all different things. You know, franchise fees, the application fee, that's just like the one-time fee. And those initiatives that I was telling you about, they kind of work with minorities. So they want to get folks in the door to kind of help with those fees and some of those costs.
And it's genius for them too, because it's like, they get to scale, right? Their reach and their footprint, but you essentially have to front the capital to build the thing that you want to build, but you're leveraging their infrastructure and their brand power, right? So I think it's a win-win though, because it's going to cost you more than 20% probably to have enough marketing budget.
I don't even want to know.
You know, on a standalone. You know what I'm saying? So that's very intriguing. That really got my wheels turning. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Plus,
I like that.
If I'm a Hilton buyer and I have points, I want to use my Hilton points at Hilton.
Oh, now you're talking spicy.
Right? There you go.
Now you're talking spicy. So
that's why people pay those. They're happy to pay those franchise fees. They happy to pay those fees because that point that you just made, you're tapping into a system that's already there. People stay at Marriott.
Makes no sense.
And the thing is, people like, I get the question, oh, Davonne, do you think Airbnbs is going to take? No, I don't. I think Airbnbs and short-term rentals are going to be here to stay, but I don't think they're going to eliminate hotels. Because guess what? I just went to a short-term rental conference, and guess where it was? It was at a hotel.
What are the odds, right? That's a tweet.
It's like, no, we're in a hotel right now. So no, I don't think it's going to take over the industry.
Y'all all staying here.
Right, we're all. I'm like, how many y'all say that a short-term rental? They were like raising their hand. I mean, like they were raising their hand that they stayed at the hotel. So I think short-term rentals are going to be here to stay. But I think that hotels, I don't think you'll be able to replace them. People having big conferences, you know, some people don't like staying at Airbnbs.
Oh, for sure. I've had a couple of run-in experience with Airbnb. I mean, they have their place, right? What I've learned about I think it's just decentralization of all things, whether it's media, whether it's this, it's what it does is it forces people who used to have somewhat of a monopoly, like they have to now get back to doing like better business, right? And it ends up being better for the end consumer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's like, okay, well, when there wasn't such thing at Airbnb, the Hiltons, the Marriotts, or whatever, they could really do whatever they want to do. Now it's like, well, okay, we're not going anywhere, but we gotta put a little effort in it. We gotta make sure that we're taking care of these people, and it ends up being better for the end consumer.
What's going on, guys? My name is George Acheampong.
I'm Jacqueline Shattuck.
And I'm Carter Cofield.
And we are the founders of Melanin Money. And the reason why we started Melanin Money is because we know that there's a great disparity when it comes to building wealth among people of color. We have a tremendous mission that we want you guys to join, right? Every single year, we want to help at least 1,000 people improve their net worth by $100,000, which will create $100 million of new Black wealth every single year.
Can you imagine $100 million of new Black wealth every year? As it stands right now, for every $1 that a white family has, a Black family has a mere 10 cents to match that dollar. We want to increase the wealth in the Black community so that we can have equal opportunities.
Simply put, we're about closing the wealth gap, and it starts with you.
So, see you inside.
Creating new brands. I swear, if a hotel come up with another brand, I'm like, we do not need another brand. So it's confusing to you all. Imagine what it is to folks like us. It's a new brand, but to your point, the consumers are forcing the brands to create new brands so that way they won't stay at Airbnbs. Like I think Marriott, it's another brand. I can't think of it. You can actually put your homes on Marriott.com and rent it out through their system. So that's what I mean. They're starting to tap into that short-term rental space so that we can still get that, still get that reservation share. Should they have done this a long time ago? Yes, but when Airbnb first came out, they were like, "Oh, it'll fade."
Little Airbnb, right?
And
look that's what disruption 101. Right. So I love it. I love it.
So if y'all are getting a lot of sauce from this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or comment below. If you guys leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, please put Davonne's name in there because she's giving y'all all the sauce, all the game, and we appreciate you. So I have a question pivoting back to like the numbers, right? Because I've purchased some businesses. Can you hear me?
I'll say, yeah, you're a numbers person.
I'm switching back to the numbers really quickly because I still don't want people to be too intimidated to get in. So I love that you have the option of, hey, I wrote the book, How to Buy a Hotel, but I also have my platform as well for crowdfunding, but kind of talking back to the book side of things and how to structure a deal. You mentioned SBA lending. So can you kind of talk through like high level how people finance? Because I know you can obviously use your own funds. You can maybe throw in some SBA in there. What does seller financing look like on the hotel? Because I know you're going to have like seller financing versus an actual land loan. So can you kind of talk through like what the deals look like on average with those options?
It's not too many seller financing deals. Probably could have got some more during COVID, but probably not as much now. Seller
Is that just the facet of the turnaround with travel?
Well, during COVID, people they needed to pay their mortgage. So whatever, it was just, it was easier to negotiate. Like, okay, hey, I can give you this, I can give you that. So people are a little bit more flexible. I don't see as many seller financing deals as I did during COVID. Every deal is different. So I want to put that out there. So I don't want people to like, oh, I can use it. Every deal, literally every single deal is different. So with SBA, you can put down, it's probably like 10 to 20%. I think it's a SBA 7A, you can get up to like $5 million. The loan can be up to $5 million. So that's what I would start off with your first hotel size, anything less than that. Sometimes you can reach out to local community banks, especially if they lend up to like, 3 to 5 million. Hotels are complicated, right? So things that lenders look for, location, brand, and operator. Those are like the three things that makes a hotel successful, right? So because again, hotels are real estate. So what's important? What's the number one thing in real estate? Location. There you go. So then you have the brand. Remember what we just talked about, the brand? And then you have the operator. The operator is probably one of the biggest things. Because it could be a Hilton, it could be a Hyatt, but if you don't have a strong operator, and especially if you're a new person coming in, just think about it. You're going to the bank, hey, I need about $5 million to own and operate this hotel. But guess what? I ain't never worked in one. I ain't never owned one. So I'm need you to cut this check.
I never even stayed in one.
I never even stayed at
They're
one.
gonna hit you with
You
that
know what I mean? I just
congratulations, you
do
played yourself.
Airbnb. So let me just cut that check real quick. Think about how that conversation is gonna go. It's not gonna go anywhere. But if you
what's that Reels audio? I'm not gonna be here for long.
that's exactly what they're gonna say.
Right.
And that hotel ain't gonna be there for long either, because you ain't gonna know what you're doing. But those are the things that you need to look at. Having a strong operator, and even if you never operated a hotel, you bring in what you call a management company. Depending on the size of the hotel, you're bringing a management company. That's a property management company for a multifamily, right? So you'll come in, they'll come in, they'll manage the hotel for you, or you can bring in like an asset manager or a consultant or a really strong general manager that can operate that hotel. Then the lender feels a little bit more comfortable. Think about it.
So you suggest having that person before you go talk to the bank?
Yeah. Yeah. If you want them to
bring them to the office.
Right. They're right here. They outside.
Bring their resume. Right.
Yeah. Bring their resume. You know what I mean?
Right here.
I've seen deals where the owner was a billionaire. Like the person who was cutting the check was a legit billionaire, and they had issues getting the loan because they didn't have the right operator and they didn't have the right brand. So
I love
folks who trying to start their own brand out of nowhere, and they never worked in a hotel. They just got this concept, and it's the best thing since sliced bread, but you need like $5-10 million. It ain't gonna work.
No, I love that you say that. But I love that you say that though, because I'll be honest, the internet has really glamorized being able to buy an established business. And I'm like, y'all, it's kind of like the kid who comes out of college and has a good job, and mom and dad have always paid for everything, and they have zero credit, and they try to go get a mortgage and they get denied because they have no credit history. Right. So I like that you said that. I think that's
and you need good credit.
You gotta have good credit.
Yeah.
Gotta have.
Sorry, I didn't say that, but yeah, you need. No, the reason I'm saying that because people meet to me be like, I don't have good credit, and I'm like, so you want a bank to give you like $5 million and you got bad credit? If they won't give you $100,000, they really won't give you, like, you know what I mean? Right. So it's real estate. You're still dealing with lenders. You're still dealing with debt. So sometimes people, like you said, Instagram has kind of glossed over a lot of things. No,
it makes a ton of sense. I always tell people it's like credit, right? If you look at the word credibility, right? Yeah. What is inside of that word, right? Credit. You have to have good credit if you expect the lender to be able to loan you money. So I have a question. So let's say that someone's like, man, this is great. I want to own a hotel. Maybe they want to go the route of like building their own from ground up or whatever the case may be, right?
Right.
What is the threshold or the cutoff between when it's just a multifamily establishment, right? Because you even see on Airbnb that someone will have multiple doors inside of one place, right? Maybe they're doing rental arbitrage or something, but like they have multiple doors in one place. So what is that cutoff threshold to where this is now classified as a hotel versus you just happen to get 5 units or 4 units or whatever it is on one property and you're calling it a boutique hotel?
That's a good question. Sense? And it also depends on your municipality too, because sometimes they label it, and then it may be, instead of a hotel, it could be just considered a bed and breakfast because you probably have like 6 units instead of multifamily. It just probably depends on how it's zoned, because there's some multifamilies like 400 units, so that probably it's just more so how it's zoned with that municipality. So from a hotel, and then also with the short-term rentals, again, with a lot of legislation that's coming out, they are mandating, I've heard, where they're having short-term rentals with a certain amount of rooms, they have to be classified, as some type of hotel. So again, I would check whatever your legislation is in that area. But as far as a hotel, I've seen hotels as low as like 10, 15 rooms. You know what I mean?
Got it. And so to your point about not getting into this business haphazardly and making sure you have the right operator, you understand, where you're building and things of that nature. I'm imagining you being in the game for a good little while, that either or maybe you offer these types of consulting services to new and aspiring hotel owners. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that looks like?
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't consult anymore.
Okay.
I should slow down.
So I connect. So that's why I have this platform. So we connect you. I am I have a mastermind program where I have coaches. So they'll be able to kind of work. And the level of detail that you need, I can connect you with actual consultants to kind of walk you through and handhold, that way they can hold your hand. Because especially depending on what phase you were in, if you're trying to develop a hotel from the ground up, you're gonna need a lot of consultants. It's very expensive. So for my folks who want to develop, I'll be like, really? Like, are you sure? Like,
yeah. You sure about that?
Yeah, it's a little pricey and it takes a long time. So a perfect world, it'll probably take you like 2 years from the time you put in your, like, probably like 2 years from the time you like think about it and get everything zoned and everything, trying the time you open the door. And that's in the perfect world.
So a better bet would be like trying to find an existing building that you just remodel.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Like, I think for our community, people who look like us, we don't realize that we don't have to start from the bottom. Like, a lot of us are starting from the bottom because we're not inheriting a hotel, but you don't have to start from the bottom in the fact that you literally go and develop your own hotel. You literally can start with something that is already cash flowing.
Right.
So
it's like you could buy a multi-million-dollar business.
Exactly. So that was going to be my question. Let's say somebody's going in with like just 2 partners, kind of rough numbers. They buy a $5 million hotel. What should they expect to take home on an annual basis?
That depends. All right. And you're going to hear me say that.
I know.
So because it depends on the type of hotel. So let's say you get a limited service, select service hotel. Which
means no restaurant.
Yeah, so that means no restaurant. So limited or select service means no restaurant. So let's say like a Hampton Inn or something like that, right? It doesn't have a restaurant. It's probably the most recognizable. I have a home 2 suite, so that's considered an extended stay. So you probably bring in 20% down, probably 20 to 30% down to the bottom line. So meaning if you bring in $1 million, 200,000 is coming. Depending on how many if you have any investors and your debt service, but this is the number I just gave you is probably before debt service. So probably about 20 to 30% prior to debt service.
So that's a profit margin that people should be looking at, because we know with real estate, we look at comps, we look at what our rent's going to be, and then we can mortgage subtract that out. All right, this is how much my profit is going to be, and then that's my profit margin. So you're saying go into the hotel space, if you run the numbers before you purchase, which you should,
right,
20 to 30% profit margin is what you.
And that's for select or limited service.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I want to.
Like luxury, I'm assuming it's going to be less than that because it's more expensive.
There you go. And so,
but you can also charge more, right? Or is it still not?
So with luxury hotels, that's a different strategy. So those are for the people like more of an institutional investors or people who just like to have stuff in their portfolio. They get the big check when they sell the hotel.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So they may buy something for like 100 million, and in a couple of years they sell it for 300 million.
It's a different strategy.
It's a different strategy.
Yeah. And I think the way the average consumer can relate to it is almost like, even in real estate, right? You might have some property where you're operating razor thin margins on the cash flow, right? But you're banking on the appreciation side, right? Exactly. Versus you might buy a property that has great cash flow, right? And it may or may not, obviously it's going to appreciate, but that's not your purpose for getting in the deal. Your purpose for getting in the deal is cash flow. So it just depends upon where you're at and what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah. So like an extended stay property. So the reason why extended stays are very profitable, because people are typically saying for like 5 to 7 days or maybe even more, they don't need as much housekeeping service and the labor model. So again, people are saying longer, but you're not turning the rooms as much.
Yeah.
So you're looking probably like 30 to 40%. There are even some hotel models where you're bringing 60% profit margin.
I like that.
Makes sense. I love that.
So now when you sell it, you're not going to get that big appreciation. You're not going to get that much in equity because it's more of a cash flow play. So a smart strategy would be, if you have a portfolio of hotels, have a mix of extended stay, limited service, have brands like Choice, Wyndham, and then Hyatt, Hilton, and Marriott. Those are, you really get your money back when you sell it.
Right.
So Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, IAG, you really, really, really get it when you sell it. Monthly cash flow people, Choice, Wyndham, Best Western, those are the brands that Motel 6, those are the brands that you want to look at.
Right. So that's how you can create a diversified. It's like levels within levels, like creating a diversified hotel portfolio, right? Because most people just think about a diversified real estate portfolio, right? You got fix and flips, you got wholesale, you got this. We're talking about a diversified hotel portfolio, right? That's love. That's genius, man.
That's next level. So I have a question. In your opinion, we've got outright hotel purchases. We've got the Vestor platform, which is a crowdfunding platform to purchase hotels, and we've got like real estate investment trusts. Okay. In your opinion, does somebody who owns one or multiple of these, are they all a hotel owner?
What's up, guys? Congratulations on joining Team Black Wealth. But we'd be remiss if we didn't give you a uniform as an official player on the team. So head over to shop.melaninmoney.com and grab your official uniform for Wealth Builders Academy.
We'll see y'all in practice.
That is a very great question. So typically, for you to be a hotel owner, you will be a general partner. So if you invest, there's what you call a limited partner, right? So you do have equity. So technically, you do have ownership in that hotel. You're just a limited partner, or a silent partner, meaning you're not taking on any of the risk, right? You're just investing, you're just a capital partner, and that's it, right? You're not on a franchise agreement, right? Then you have what we call the general partners, or the people who are on a loan. That's typically, like in loans, you have to think like be over 20%. But general partners, you're taking on the risk, you're on a franchise agreement, you're raising capital, you're putting a deal together. So if something happens to the hotel, you're at risk. That's the difference between an owner and an investor, or a general partner and a limited partner. The general partner has more risk associated. They put more equity, even if it's sweat, they put more into it as opposed to do it just a limited. And a general partner also has voting rights, right? A limited part, like I'm not going to go to the limited partners and be like, hey, what do y'all think I should do? By the time the decision has already been made, and y'all, this is what's happening. Like, this is what y'all invested in, and y'all just have to go with it, right?
Yeah, and that's you have to look at who you are as a person, right? Like, if you just want to invest and just look at the returns, then you'd be limited partner, because you can only lose what you put in, right? So if it goes south and you only put $20,000, that's all you got to lose. But general partner, you could be responsible for that loan, and if somebody gets sued, if somebody does something stupid, so I think people need to be strategic when they go into these deals, knowing what type of risk tolerance do you want to take on from a monetary standpoint, and from a, just putting yourself on the line standpoint. So I think, there's different strokes for different folks, but I love the fact that anybody can get in based off what they want out of the deal versus, responsibility and monetary wise.
I love it. So moving back to the first category, which is hotel ownership outright, general partner. Can you walk us through what day one of, like, you signed the contracts and everything for your first hotel, and then what did day one look like? Full day one, you got the keys. What was that kind of experience?
Well,
help face.
but so I'm gonna say the word depends, because it depends. So I have my investment thesis. I have to have a management company.
Yeah. So what was your experience?
So my experience is I was in Atlanta because the management company handled that. What I pay them for?
There you go. Hey, I love that.
That was my. That was like.
So you went there for like the ribbon cutting the first day?
Oh no, people don't be doing that. No, the only time you really do ribbon cutting is when it's like you developing the hotel and you breaking ground.
Got it. But if you just remodeling or revamping or taking ownership,
if you name it the Jackie, you got to do another ribbon cutting.
Stuff like that. Of course, you make it a whole thing. Like if I was developing, it would be a whole thing. The Jackie, girls, that red carpet, all that other type of stuff. But you just buying something, it's just like it's literally like a flip of the switch, and it's like
Right. I love that you say that, because especially when I got started in like buying businesses, I would look at it and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I could do this. It would look so cute. We can fix it like this and then like my partner was like, yo, that's not what we're doing. Like, we're here for a return. You're not going to be here. That unless it's going to make us more money, we're not doing it.
Yeah, I'm not going to. And then my hotel, it was in Reno. Like, I mean, we brought a lot of attention to it. It was just like, now I did, we went there, met the employees and stuff like that, but
shook hands, kissed babies, got out of the gym.
I love that.
And I go see my properties every quarter.
Okay.
Gotcha. Do you like the secret shopper? Like, they don't know you, the owner, you just.
No, they know.
They know. I didn't know.
They know.
Yeah, it's a big deal when we come. Now,
Right, the big boss coming through.
Yeah. When we now sometimes if I like need to like visit the dude, like, you know, for personal reasons, I'll come and be like, hey, I'm coming. I'm still gonna be looking. But when we go for our quarterly meetings, we talk to the property all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the day looks like. We talk to the property a lot, talking to the management company. So as my job, I'm an internal asset manager, right? So managing the asset on behalf of the owners and the investors. The management company, they're just, think of it as a nanny for your child. They're just managing the day-to-day operations. I'm thinking about, okay, what's going to happen at the end of the year? Like, how can we mitigate this shortfall? How can we reposition this hotel for when it's time to sell it? Do we want to sell it now? Do we want to sell it then? Do we want to keep it as this flag? So that's what those are the type of things that I think about. And that's what owners think about.
Awesome. No, that's amazing.
But to answer your question, Jackie, because I didn't answer. So literally what they're doing, they're training the staff, they're coming in, they're changing everything. A lot of times what happened, the management companies are coming like 2 to 3 weeks before to kind of walk through everything, to take inventory, to see what needs to be done. They'll give you a checklist, and then they'll train all the employees, or they'll bring in their new employees. They'll get all of their systems in place, and and that's what you pay them for.
Makes sense.
Period. So on the generational wealth tip, I know you have a lovely young one at the house. One, right?
One. Oh no, he's 3. Oh, that's right. You met him.
Yeah.
I was probably chasing him. Yeah.
He was active. Little baby gets active for sure. But on the tip of generational wealth, and you were talking about how people who look like us, we haven't had a lot of generational wealth and things being passed down. How do you look at that in your family?
Definitely trust. 3. I'm looking at 3 generations. Creating 3 generational trust. And I didn't really think about that. And my grandma she always told me to keep at least, because I was going to sell her house. And she's like, no, Davonne, you always got to keep one paid off house in the family, because you never know who's going to need it. So that's what I really wasn't. It wasn't like passing it for wealth. It was just like, grandmas, they just want their kids to have a place to stay. You know what I mean? It's paid off. Just keep up the taxes, Davonne. I'm not asking for much. That's pretty much what she said. Well, I was going to sell it because where it's located, I don't want to go visit. But then when I saw my little one running around, like what I was doing at his age, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what my grandma meant. So now I'm thinking about, okay, what can I do for the children that I'm never going to meet? Like, what am I going to do for my dad's last name, right? What am I going to do that they sacrificed so much to get me to where I am now? What can I do to keep their legacy going? So, I want to have a paid off hotel in the family. I want to buy a whole bunch of land. Like, land is it. Buy as much land as I possibly can and keep that, and not only but teach my son how to keep it. Like, I've realized that wasn't really taught that much to me about retaining the wealth. Like, okay, Davonne, this is this, and this is how you can make it grow and keep it in the family. So my goal is like, okay, Jameer, this is yours. This is your last name. This is what you need to be working for. So that way he understands it, so he can build it. And what I work for, he won't lose it. Like, I don't want to be doing all this work and then you lose it.
Facts.
That's a whole fact.
Yeah.
That's a whole fact. And here on the Melanin Money Show, right? Like, our goal over the next decade is to help 100,000 people of color achieve their first $1 million in net worth, right? So that we can decrease the wealth gap by $100 billion in 10 years. And so whether someone is an aspiring melanin millionaire or their current melanin millionaire, we always like to ask our guests the question, what does being a melanin millionaire mean to you?
I love that. For one, that's so beautiful. Y'all want to create a whole bunch of accredited investors. I love it.
That's a fact.
Accredited investors. I love it.
Yes.
What that means to me, I think it's beautiful. I think that that's something that you all are going to be able to do, because I love what y'all doing. And I think what it will do, it's help changing the mindset, right? It's helped changing the mindset of what our ancestors, when everybody else had to go through, is like, okay, you know what, y'all get it. This is what we work for. They not up in heaven crying at us because we didn't do what they died for. Right. So I mean, that's what it means for me. It means more opportunity, because a lot of the best deals and the most profitable deals, they're only available to those with that type of network. Mm-hmm. Right. So in order for us to really build wealth and deal with wealth, not just being rich, but being wealthy. It's a difference between being rich and it's a difference between wealthy. And what y'all talking about is being wealthy. So that way you can pass something through generation to generation.
Absolutely, man. This has been phenomenal. Thank you so much. Not every day you get to talk to a hotel owner, you know what I mean? So we appreciate
Come hang
it.
with me. I can introduce y'all to a lot of them.
Hey, say less. We try to get some hotels too. You know, we went in on this. But where can people tap in with you, right? Because obviously I know this podcast was great and people got a lot of gems. They probably rewinding it right now as they're listening to it and taking notes and all that good stuff. But how can they tap in so they can kind of keep the education going? And if they want to start their hotel acquisition journey, right, they know where to tap in. How can they follow you and all that good stuff?
I'm on Instagram at Davonne Reaves and my website, thevonnegroup.com. So everything is on there, and then my crowdfunding platform, Vestor. So that's how you can connect with me.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you ever wanted to own a hotel, now you can't say that you don't have access to the resources on how to do just that. Well, guys, another great episode of the Melanin Money Show. We appreciate you for tuning in. Again, if you love this episode, make sure if you're watching this on YouTube that you subscribe, leave a comment. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review and let her know how appreciative you are for coming on and bringing this valuable game and sharing her time. But other than that, we appreciate you guys. Till next time. Peace.